Hey everybody, I'm the Linux Gamer, and I've been playing Spec Ops: The Line. It's a third-person shooter by Jaeger Development and published by 2K. Spec Ops: The Line was released for Linux May 14th, 2015. In Spec Ops, you play as Captain Martin Walker, a Delta Force special operative tasked with reconnaissance of a post-disaster Dubai. The story sometimes takes a more subjective bent, exploring the depths of post-traumatic stress disorder, the horrors of war, and the atrocities of mankind. I found myself gripped by the narrative, not wanting to kill anyone, but doing so for survival. I was questioning the sanity of my character, wondering if he really knew who the true enemy was. The most effective and disturbing moment of this game was the white phosphorus scene. I knew something was up. Something was wrong about this moment, and I won't give anything away, but I live streamed that part of the game and it left an indelible impression upon me. Spec Ops: The Line has a realistic military aesthetic. The game is set in a sandstorm-ravaged Dubai. This title has a particular fascination with gore. As I've said before, blood and guts aren't really my thing. I have a hard time stomaching mangled, tortured bodies, even when it's fake, and the fact that most of this game's story revolves around the horrors of war truly made me uneasy. The game sports a great licensed soundtrack, which highlights some of the more violent tableaus. Spec Ops: The Line is a cover-based third-person shooter, taking cues from the Gears of War series. The game's single-player is a fairly linear, narrative-driven affair, punctuated by numerous firefights. Combat often revolves around large, scripted set pieces where the environment can be exploited to end a firefight with the catastrophic introduction of sand. Your character can use several types of grenades, 2 primary weapons, and an extremely limited cache of ammunition, usually no more than 3 clips worth. This leads to my first gripe about the game. Even when using ammunition conservatively, running out of bullets is a hurdle I very often am unable to clear while in a crossfire. Most enemies you encounter are standard soldiers. However, there are on occasion bullet sponges, armored combatants who are referred to as heavies. These baddies really break the illusion of realism for me. I find the unstoppable nature of these guys, who can withstand grenade blasts, to be very gamey. There are moments where I feel this game tries to subvert video game tropes, and moments where, almost hypocritically, the game embraces them. Firefights aren't fun in this game. I can't tell if that's a fault in the design, or if this game is trying to present an intellectual challenge and question the very nature of violence as entertainment. But then bullet sponge enemies are introduced, and I question my analysis of the game as too generous. This game features co-op and online versus mode. I haven't tried either of them, mostly because I'm not an online gamer. Spec Ops: The Line is somewhat of a console shooter. The third-person perspective lends itself to playing with a gamepad. However, due to the nature of how the game was ported to Linux, my controllers simply refused to work reliably. Both the 360 and DualShock 4 controllers would behave weirdly, as if their thumbsticks needed to be calibrated, then suddenly right themselves without rhyme or reason. And then to top it off, my controllers would just cease to function. The mouse and keyboard work great, however. It's the way I've come to play the game, and it's not just because the controllers don't work. As much as I enjoyed playing Spec Ops: The Line, this game does not run flawlessly. Intense and prolonged stuttering, wildly varying frame rates, inelegant handling of in-engine loading, and a lack of granular performance customization makes for a disappointing experience. And let's not even talk about the highly compressed, pre-rendered cutscenes that look like absolute garbage. Much of the performance issues I've had with this game is due to the Eon wrapper. This game does not run natively for Linux, and for some this is a deal breaker. It doesn't bother me if an older game like Spec Ops uses Eon, if it works that is, and my first experience with Eon was actually a positive one. However, I feel like my new gaming rig is powerful enough to handle Spec Ops on max settings at high frame rates. Typically, with Spec Ops, I was getting between 60 and 120 frames per second when it was running as intended. With VSync on, I rarely experienced any hiccups. But when the game chokes, it really chokes. Chugging along sub 60 frames per second is inexcusable. I would recommend this game to anyone who loves narrative-driven shooters, with the caveat that you need a very powerful machine to play this game. It's available for Linux through Steam, link in the description. Have you played Spec Ops: The Line? What do you think of it? Be sure to tell me in the comments or on Twitter at @TheLinuxGamer. You can also follow me as a Steam curator. Feel free to check out the rest of my channel, including my previous What is SteamOS video. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and share it with your friends. And make sure you subscribe to see more from me, the Linux Gamer. Thanks for watching.